Stellaris wars are getting fixed. No longer will border skirmishes turn into a War in Heaven style campaign with every single AI joining. And there's a whole bunch more really nice fix coming in today's Dev Diary 430. We've got some nascent stage fixes, AI updates and more, but let's first take a look at why are all these empires in my war. If you've been enjoying the games where it felt like every minor border skirmish escalated into a War in Heaven like grand campaign, sorry to say, they're exploring a few changes to the behavior of the joint war feature. I think this needs to be changed. Every single war would turn into chaos, people joining them and then immediately leaving. It was weird. I like the feature, just needs some fine tuning, which I'm glad they're doing. There are two sets of changes coming that should make this feature feel better. First, informing you what happened. Second, making it happen less. Yeah, again, it was really weird. Unless you were the war leader, you couldn't actually see what the heck was happening. In the original implementation, join messages were only being sent to a limited number of participants. Well, it just selected one or two. They now go to everyone involved in the war. The messages will name the empire, the war, and which side they're joining. They'll be coloured as positive or negative, depending on whether they're joining your side of the war or the opposition, which is nice to look at a glance. If an entire federation jumps in at once, or an overlord with a passel of vassals, there'll be one message: the primary plus X allies. That's really nice too, so we don't get spammed. Ally joined war. Your Mafian Consolidated Worlds have joined the Interstellar Advancement Cooperative Fukarian Territorial Invasion on the side of the Interstellar Advancement Cooperative. You can click to open an overview and right click to dismiss. Leaving a war was worse. Nobody was getting any messages at all. We'll now share a similar message when cowards leave a war that you're in. Enemy left the war. Your Afmarin Consolidated Worlds have left the Interstellar Advancement Cooperative Futarian Territorial Invasion, where they fought on the side of the Interstellar Advancement Cooperative. It would be nice if they were leaving we also got a colour, but I guess the icon will also show that. The deeper issue was related to why everyone kept ganging up into gigantic wars. When you asked another empire whether they wanted to join your war, we looked at the price for their involvement. An AI with no interest in the war would have a higher price, but anyone could be bought, while an AI that liked your side would enthusiastically join for no cost at all. The catch was that they considered every member on each side of the war, which meant that opinion swamped any other portion of the calculation. Several empires an AI liked were beating up someone they didn't. They gleefully join into the dog pile. This caused the snowball effect that many of us saw. It was baked into the basic arithmetic. Opinion still matters a great deal, but is now averaged across each side rather than being a sum, with the actual war leader on each side counting twice is fundamentally their war. Adding 5 empires to a side that an AI has no strong feeling about will dilute their eagerness to join the war instead of increasing it. The AI will also now consider the size of the war. Being asked to step into a 7-empire war is a bigger commitment than a minor border skirmish, and the AI will price it that way. Whether they're already fighting, an empire already at war will be much less interested in getting involved in another. Whether they have a grudge against the opposing war leader previously, they'd count this as satisfied as long as they were any hated empires on the other side, and how they feel about the allied war leader specifically. If an empire would rather see you weakened, it costs you to get them to join as an ally. This sounds very good. It was a nice feature, but again, it just was way too easy and the AI were too reluctant to just dogpile. I like the mechanic. This should hopefully help. We'll see how it plays in the game. Their willingness to join and their price tag are both modified multiplicatively, thank you for putting that word in, based on the number of tests failed. You can still buy your way out of trouble, but bribing a disinterest empire is more of a significant diplomatic and economic ordeal, rather than just a rounding error on your energy stockpile. This basically means the more things that aren't going with them, so the 4 new things we just saw, it's going to be harder and harder to actually join or leave, bribing them, which again is a really good change. With a couple of exceptions though. Defensive wars are considered cheaper than attacking. Helping a friend survive is an easier ask than helping them conquer someone. That's really nice too. Crisis wars are also exempt from the size penalty entirely. Galactic Crisis is supposed to be ganged up on, and these are not intended to make it harder to assemble that galactic coalition. Again, I like that change too. Weirdly though, you can peace out Crisis wars. I don't know if that's intended or not. It looks like that's not changing. And the AI should no longer offer to join wars as little interest in, which means that if they come to you offering to join your war, they legitimately want in. You should still be able to ask them at any time. If they're not interested, they'll make that clear with their pricing. Again, I really like these tweaks that they're doing. This was something that needed changing. Really like the mechanic. It makes the galaxy feel a lot more alive, and wars felt way too static before, but it was way too overtuned. Make sure to subscribe right now. Now let's look at some of the other changes. The feature from last week, exclusive harvesting rights, is now in, which is a really good sign for the rest of the summer experimentation, like the espionage changes. But now nomadic empires and settled empires can negotiate exclusive harvesting rights, which lets the nomads harvest the celestial bodies in their empire space without diplomatic penalties in exchange for a negotiated share of the yield. Again, that really makes nomads fun mid-game when there's no space to actually harvest. Nomads are still a bit broken, so you might think they don't need buffs. Hopefully they get scaled down a bit, and mid-game they still need to harvest and not make people hate them. We saw last week as well, the empire they're doing this to will actually get a percentage of whatever the nomads harvest, which I think is really nice. The arc furnace can also now be set to different smelting modes from tier 3 onwards, changing whether the deposit it covers yield minerals, alloys, or a balance of both. Switching cost energy unlocks the furnace out of changing mode for 720 days, and empires with the obsessional directive civic will unlock additional commodity fabrication smelting mode on the arc furnace. This was also covered last week in the summer changes and has made it to the beta. The obsessional directive will make consumer goods from the arc furnace, but it's only that civic that's allowing it. This is a nice change. You can either do all minerals, all alloys, or a mix of the both. Early on, usually you want minerals and alloys, but later on, you might just want to spam alloys. Again, a very nice change. We've got some balance changes. Some that are really interesting is that autocannons, disruptors, and other short-range weapons are no longer equipable on starbases, orbital rings, or deep space citadels. This is really good for the auto design because it will just put those on and then they'll do nothing at range. This will make taking AI starbases a lot harder too. Deep scanning has been nerfed, and a shout out to composer of Strands. Harvesting has been nerfed with harvesting jobs, and weapon damage for ordnance engineer weapon zones has been reduced from 5% to 1%. That's a huge nerf to nomads. Cybernetic pops now gain 10% job efficiency, up from 5%. That's pretty nice. Cybernetic's already pretty nice. But cybernetic luminary leader experience penalties reduced from 25 to 10%. Nascent stage has kind of been fixed. And then there are just a whole bunch more changes, with 4.5 looking like it's an insane custodian patch. We also got the AI changes, a upgrade and destroy loop has been fixed, some nomad AI changes where they'll upgrade their arc ship rather than building a new one, which I think is actually, for human players, I would just build a new one usually, but upgraded arc ships are much more scary. The nomad AIs no longer store their economic plan because they hold energy and minerals as operational reserves rather than a stockpile. Automatically generated defensive platforms will no longer use those short range weapons, but they can be manually equipped. And nomad harvest target selection accounts for harvesting agreements, which is really nice too. You can just set it to do only harvesting rights. We've also got some UI and UX and modding changes. They're currently focusing on stabilization of 4.5, and they're also looking at AI changes and other high priority issues. Next week will be a short dev diary on the status of the open beta, but they may share an expected release date for 4.5, which is gearing up to be really nice. 4.0 has come a long way. Now go watch me completely abuse Behemoth, which has not been nerfed in 4.5 yet. It's a super OP build. I'll see you there. Goodbye.